I went to the gym. I'm on my way home, and I wanted to get this one out because it was just hitting me, right? And I started thinking about it. I started thinking about what drives people and what scares people. And so the one thing, last night we talked about comfort zone, right? And the one thing that people are so scared of is failure. And that's what keeps us from taking that step out of our comfort zone, is we're afraid to fail. But here's the thing, and this is what we all know, that anytime you step out, anytime you put yourself out there, anytime you attempt something, failure is always an option, and that's scary. That's why people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. Because you go on that stage, you're alone. You're talking to people, you're alone, they're gonna judge you, right? That's what you're thinking. You're thinking all these negative thoughts, they're creeping in, they're gonna judge me, they're gonna think I stink, they're not gonna think I'm any good. And so it keeps you in that comfort zone, and it keeps you from being great, that fear of failure. Well, that's the thing. Here's the deal. I love that failure is an option. Because that's competition. That's what drives me. I love winning, I love losing. I do, I love them both. I love the fact that every time I compete, there's a chance I could have either one. And that's what keeps those butterflies inside of you, right? Game day's coming up, or you're at a big speech coming up, or you're pitching a business plan, and you got those butterflies, right? When those butterflies come up, that you're onto something. That means it means something to you, right? That means it means something to you. If you don't have those butterflies, then then it doesn't mean anything. It's just, you're just doing something. But when you have those butterflies, that's that love for that competition, that you know that failure's an option, you know that winning's an option, and you know that they both those feelings can't be matched. Losing is an awful feeling, right? You hate it because you know all that work you put in. And winning is like the ultimate. You can't feel any better. And the thing is, you can't explain those feelings to people unless they actually have lived. You can't explain it to anybody. People either know it or they don't. Right? You can't explain what winning the championship or losing the championship feels like to someone who's never been through it. Because all that work we talk about all the time, that grind, that's what it's all about. So you got to step out, right? Because failure is always an option, and that's what makes us scared. That's what keeps us average. We're afraid to fail, see? But the people who aren't afraid to fail, the people who are willing to put themselves out there, those are the ones that exceed. If you're willing to put yourself out there, everybody else is going to be average because they don't want to step out. They just want to hang out in that comfort zone. And boom, you're passing them up, right? Because they're just going to sit there. And they're going to always worry about what people think, what people say, right? They're going to worry about that kind of stuff. And that's the stuff that you're not going to worry about. And it's going to make you better. Because you want to compete. You love the fact that failure is an option. It drives you. If you're afraid of failure, I know you heard it your whole life. If you're afraid of failure, right, then you can't ever do anything. If you're afraid of failure, you cannot be great. It's no way, because the only way you can be great is when failure becomes an option. Because if you don't do anything with your life, right, if you just hang out and do nothing, failure's not an option. Because you're not really putting yourself out there. So as soon as you allow failure to become an option, because it is, I don't care what anybody says, you can always fail. It's always an option, but that's when things get serious. That's when we start to live. That's when we know we're on that right path. When those butterflies come up inside of us and we get nervous, we know we're close to something important. And that's how we got to do it, man. We have to love the journey. Stick to the process. You have to embrace failure as an option. It's the only way you'll get out of that comfort zone. It's the only way that you will succeed. It's the only way you can be great. Right? It's like that World Series championship game. Right? You know, it's the winners' jubilation. They're filled up. You can see them celebrating. The losers are watching, and they're taking it in. And they're taking it in. That's the best part. I love watching the guys sit there and take it in. Not the ones who walk into the clubhouse, because whatever, but the guys who sit there and take it in, you see it in their eyes. It's burning. That failure burns them, and they don't ever want to feel it again. That's the best part right there. That's that real human emotion right there. They're looking at them, and they're not turning their head. They're staring right at them, watching them celebrate the championship that they wanted so bad, and they're letting that burn. Because that feeling they feel, that's going to turn into their new grind. That's going to turn them into a machine in the off season. They're going to take that, let it set in, right? They're going to embrace that failure, and they're going to say, never again. Never again. I'm going to go harder. I'm going to do more. I'm going to do everything I just did, but I'm going to do it more than I just did it. You see? That's why I love when they sit there and watch it. Just take it in. I did that. In the minor leagues, I sat there and I watched the Rangers high A team, right? And I wasn't a huge part of this team. I didn't contribute a lot, but I was still on that team. Right? I didn't contribute on the field, but I was still on that team. And I watched the Rangers celebrate our minor league championship. I'm on the bench watching these guys celebrate, and they're just loving it. And I'm like, man, this is the worst feeling in the world, being one game away. We were one game away. It was us or them that game. It was game 5, and that's how you play in the minors, game 5. And that just burned inside of me. I never wanted to feel it again. So I'm at home that offseason, and I worked so hard. I was grinding that weight room. I was in the batting cage. I was taking ground balls. Step outside, man. When you allow failure to become an option, you will then allow, here's the thing, when you allow failure to become an option, you just allow greatness to become an option. No grind, no glory.